All right, y'all. I'm making this series because the past couple of UFC events, I made like a significant amount of money gambling, and I'm saying that because uh, they were very profitable events, right? And how I see UFC cards, I look at them from entertainment perspective, and also like profitability. And these last two events were pretty profitable because they were pretty easy to pick, right? And I'm feeling pretty good. I went on like a 10 game win streak on a Clash Royale, unemployed. And I say that because I can make so much money gambling, right? So I'll tell you my picks, and this is why I'm starting this series. And I have a lot of rules, and I might explain them while I'm going through this card. Like for example, I don't bet on people like Kevin Holland and D Rod and C Rod and what's that guy's name? Neil Magny, people like that. I generally bet on the more ugly looking women. I don't really watch women MMA that much, but yeah. What else is there? Like, you know, see hype from the Bellator fighters. Like, be skeptical of the hype of those guys. But anyways, I'll just start off with the card. So, this fucking guy without a picture, Alibi Idris versus Joseph Morales. I'm gonna go with this Alibi Idris guy. He's undefeated. He also fought in the Kazakhstani regional scene. I trust that a lot more than this fucking random Mexican jobber that they got off the street, Joseph Morales. I'm gonna take it by decision, but okay. I have two different things. I would call this a pick. I would go Alibi Idris by money line, but my prediction is probably by decision. I say pick because that's the most profitable option, right? And sometimes my pick is don't even put money on it. In fact, a lot of the time, there's a lot of fights that I wouldn't even put money on. However, my prediction would say otherwise. We move on. What even? There's two, like, unnamed, no height, no reach people. Welterweights, Rodrigo Centenato and Daniil Donichenko. Both of them had, like, pretty solid runs, pretty similar runs, I think, in terms of their regional careers. I don't even know what to predict. My pick is don't put money on this. We move on. Dion Barbozo versus Karine Silva. I think Karine Silva's got it. She's got some good movement, lateral movement. She's got some good pep in her step. Dion Barbozo, she just walks like she's got mud in her shoes. But I'm not going to watch this. My pick would be probably, I mean, you should probably pick Karine Silva. You could pick her just by, like, decision. You know? I feel like that's actually pretty profitable. Let me see the odds on this, though. Right, Karine Silva's quite a favorite. Yes, I would pick Karine Silva by decision as my pick and prediction. We move on to Brian Battle versus Nursultan Ruziboyev. I don't like this fight in terms of profitability. Brian Battle, he's really good at just, like, he's very durable. He's like Max Holloway a little bit in a way. And especially at middleweight, Nursultan's huge. And Brian Battle's not, he wasn't like a super massive welterweight. I will say Nursultan Ruziboyev is not as clean. He has somewhat of a grappling game, but Brian Battle's probably better. Ruziboyev has a lot more pop in his shots, though. However, I think Brian Battle will be able to grind out, like, he might just be able to clinch up with Nursultan Ruziboyev during those, iffy moments where this guy throws just absolute bombs, like he did with, what Brian Battle did with, what's that black dude's name? Randy Brown. All right, so I think Brian Battle will be able to just swarm this guy. I don't think he knocks him out. He's at middleweight, so Ruziboyev's pretty hydrated. I will say Brian Battle by decision is my prediction, but I don't think you should ever put money on this fight. This is a very close fight. In fact, let's see the odds. I feel like Ruziboyev by decision or knockout is a better pick, not prediction, because he's such a sizable underdog. However, I wouldn't put money on this. All right, next. Jakar Close versus Edson Barbozi. I'm putting it on Edson Barbozi. As we saw with the fight last week, what's that? Steve Erceg versus that fucking black guy who just has like crazy. O'Day Osborne. Guy's got some crazy fast twitch fibers, right? But he's fucking shit. You could see how much a speed difference can just make up for how fucking shit you are. But I also think Edson Barbozi is significantly better than Jakar Close, just because of the experience. Jakar Close, I mean, dude, he is just, I wouldn't say he's like super slow, but I don't know, the way he like plods around, I don't like how he looks. And Barbozi, he's older, slightly. They're both pretty old, but he's going into lightweight. I think it's better for him when he goes into lightweight. By the way, he even had like a pretty good fight with Lerone Murphy, right? I think that win is aging really well between the Ige and Emmett fights. I think he's pretty underrated just because of his age. So I will go Barbozi by money line as my pick. Prediction, Barbozi by decision, because he might just TKO in the third round. All right, now we have Chase Hooper Alexander Hernandez. I don't think Hernandez is that good. I saw him, I don't know, there's something about after that Cerrone fight where he's just like a Call of Duty zombie, right? He like just walks around. Dude is not that good. And I think Chase Hooper actually has some pretty underrated striking after the Garcia fight. He has a pretty good frame in terms of his height. Might need to put some meat on that, but he's doing pretty good. I don't think he submits Hernandez. I think Hernandez is a little bit scrambly, kind of fights like a crackhead. So I will say Chase Hooper money line as my pick. Prediction, Hooper by decision. Don't be surprised if Hooper... What the hell? Sorry. I'll edit that out. Shut up. Hooper... Don't be surprised if Hooper just submits this fucking guy, alright? But he's probably not going to knock him out. Alright, Jessica Andrade versus Lupi Godino. I don't care. I don't think Jessica Andrade is any good anymore. I don't know why she's 33 fighting like she's fucking like 45. What's her name? Angela Hill fought better than this girl. Besides that, I think Lupi Godino wins. Lupita Godinez, she's like honestly pretty underrated. I mean, I don't care. I don't think she's like super great, but Andrade is like, dude, I don't think I'll ever put money on Andrade. I'll either never not put money on her or bet on her losing, right? And I think Lupita Godinez by decision is pretty okay. I'm between decision and money line. I'll call it Lupita Godinez by decision. And just not think of it that hard, all right? Okay, this fight, I actually don't like this fight that much. I think GM3 is very underrated. I think that loss with De Ridder's aging really good because Bo Nickel is a huge prospect and even having like a close decision, and I do think Reinier De Ridder won against Robert Whittaker. Even having a close decision with Robert Whittaker is a huge up in his stock, right? And GM3 just like took him to war before he got submitted. GM3's got crazy submissions, and he's pretty much a win-loss fighter. Ola Jacek, I think he is good. He's fast. He's young. He's very powerful. Do not be surprised if Ola Jacek knocks him out in first round. But I think GM3 is also pretty rangy, pretty like pitter-pattery, to where he might just keep him at distance and take him to either decision or late-round submission. And Mikal, he has good scrambling, but it's just like, dude, you got submitted by Kevin Holland. His submission defense is really strange. I don't think you should put money on this. Prediction, Ola Jacek by first round knockout. We move on to Bobby Green versus Diego Ferreira. This is pretty easy. Diego Ferreira, he's 40. That's literally the only reason why he's like, it's kind of a close line, but Diego Ferreira is like really good. He had that crazy performance against Raumbetsky. And Raumbetsky, between like the Orlbai fight and the Duncan fight, which he was close. It was a close decision. I mean, dude's 40 and he's aging great. Bobby Green, I'm not fucking calling this guy King Green. Bobby Green, Bobby Queen Green. His chin is pretty bad at the moment. He was doing like the chicken dance every time he got touched by 300 fight Jim Miller, and it's only gotten worse. He's gotten colded by Hoofy, and he got slept by what's that guy's name? Paddy Pimblett, right? I don't think Bobby Green at this stage of his career is able to fight such a powerful, quick guy like Diego Carlos Ferreira. So I'm going to take Carlos Diego Ferreira by knockout. Yeah. I'm going to put that as my pick, knockout. And my prediction. Actually, go moneyline Diego Ferreira. He might just pitter-patter. Yeah, and then Diego Ferreira by knockout is my prediction. We move on to Asakura versus Tim Elliott. So I have a rule where I never bet against Japanese fighters or Canadian fighters. Except Asakura is winning this anyways. By pretty quick knockout. Elliott is 38 in flyweight. His chin is pretty, like... He does the chicken dance quite a bit too. I mean, he fought at bantamweight last time, didn't he? He has one thing against him, which is his... his grappling ability. But also, Asakura, he was fighting against fucking Pantoja. I think his scrambling is actually really good to the point where he will have, like, a significant advantage to where he'll just get up and then just knock his ass out in the first round. I'm going to say Kai Asakura by knockout. Yeah, that was both my pick and prediction. Huh? Jacob Kilbom versus Michael Venom Page. Okay. Either way, I'm taking Michael Venom Page by decision. Jared Cannonier, I don't think has an answer to MVP speed. The only thing MVP really lost through age was his power. That's why I'm saying MVP by decision. Jared Cannonier, I think his size is actually pretty overrated. I think it was just because he was a fat heavyweight at some point. I mean, look how small he was compared to Gregory Rodriguez, right? I think this is a pretty easy pick. I'm going to go MVP by decision. And we move on from Jacob Kilbum versus Michael Venom Page. What a fucking barn burner. This is such a great fight, man. Jacob Kilbum, he's a marauder back in the day. Jeff Neal, Carlos Prates. This is pretty easy. Carlos Prates by money line. I don't think Jeff Neal is top 10. He's like at the edge of top 10 worthy. Carlos Prates had a pretty close fight with Ian Gary, and I do rate Ian Gary very highly. Ian Gary is like he's like top 5 most skilled welterweights like right now. Ian Gary, that loss is aging pretty well. I think Carlos Prates might take him to either decision or just knock his ass out. But I think Jeff Neal is actually pretty like durable. So I will say Carlos Prates money line. Carlos Prates by decision is my prediction. All right, Lerone Murphy versus Aaron Picto. This is a pretty hard fight. However, I actually will go with a pick, and I will say Lerone Murphy by decision, just because of the value of it. Aaron Picto, he's good, but he has knockout power, but he's lost pretty easy fights that Lerone would have just won pretty well. Picto, he has that pressure just because he has the threat of just a takedown, and he will almost always get that takedown if he gets it against the fence. Lerone, however, he's just too skilled. He is like a featherweight Leon Edwards, right? Lerone Murphy, I mean, he's just very skilled, but he's somewhat gun shy, but not as much as Leon. I mean, he's not that shit. I will say Lerone Murphy by decision. Aaron Picto, he might land that big shot, but I think Lerone has that, like, he has the ability to just, like, not get flatlined by hard-hitting fighters. Like, he's fought against Ige and Emmett back-to-back. I think he's doing all right. So now we move on to our main event of the evening. Dricus du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev. Don't put money on this fight. Plain and simple. I will predict Dricus du Plessis by decision. I don't think this is a good fight to predict just because of what can happen. Like small micro things can just change the whole outcome of the fight, right? Like the position of his hand, of his arm against Dricus's chin in the first 2 rounds could end up into a submission. However, if Dricus survives that, I don't think Khamzat can do anything round 3, 4, 5 in the same way that how Umar fought against Merab, right? I don't think Dricus always gets a second wind. Khamzat does too sometimes, but his second wind is not like, oh wow, I'm gonna impose my will, absolutely destroy this guy. Dricus will try to finish you. He will try to get you out of there. And I think in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round, he has like the fight IQ to be like have that urgency in the 3rd round. Just be like, fuck, dude, we gotta get this guy. We gotta win these next 3 rounds, right? Mate, we gotta win these next 3 rounds, right? You know. I do think Dricus will survive 2 rounds of just berserker, like rear naked chokes and back takes and what do you call those, arm triangles. I will take Dricus by. I won't pick anything, but I will take Dricus by decision as my prediction. And I will also say that all these picks, you should put them down as straight bets. Just to profit, because I think these are pretty good. But however, you can put your own like parlays with these picks. Don't put anything stupid down like fucking Lerone Murphy by decision and Karine Silva by decision as well. I mean, unless you want to, it's your life. However, I do think this fight card is pretty profitable. I think next week actually might be more profitable, or maybe not more profitable, but pretty easy to predict. Because we got a lot of Chinese people. We got Rong Ju. We got Loner Kavanaugh. We got Johnny Walker, Jiang Min Yang. We got Brian Ortega. You know, these are some pretty easy fights to predict. So, come back next week. That's about it. Bye-bye.